Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday, June 9th, 2020. I call this meeting to order. I declare a quorum is present and the media has been notified. I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Made the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey and a second by Mr. Wright to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. 7-0. We'll now entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on May 26, 2020.
Made the motion.
Second.
There is a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Ms. Littleton, to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on May 26, 2020. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. We'll now entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
Made the motion.
Second.
I'll yield to Ramsey.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Ramsey and a second by Ms. Littleton. All right. The stated purpose of executive session is the discussion of a pending employment matter to include the appointment of an administrator and 12 student attendance appeals. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 7-0. We are in executive session. To return to, I'll now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
So moved, Madam Chair.
So moved.
I got a motion from Mr. Wright. Anybody want to call a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Littleton. I'd like to state for the record that no action was taken in executive session. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. We are in regular session. Please now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item 4A, citizen comments. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Stakeholder comments are welcomed and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action on public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must register prior to the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. Comments regarding complaints against employees other than district-level executives or references to students other than the child of the speaker will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to guidelines. I would like to invite Jenna Kane, Bus and Transportation Concerns.
Hi, my name is Jenna Kane. Thank you. There are 10 schools our children within the Cambay elementary attendance lines are being directed to by the CAP, the waitlist, and the rezoning that went into play within the past year. We are discussing 10 different schools being in the mix, splitting up streets, communities, apartment complexes, and even single-family homes. Cambay Elementary, Whitesville Elementary, Westview Primary, Westview Elementary, Cambay Middle, Berkeley Middle, Westview Middle, Sangaree Middle, Cambay High, and Berkeley High. Depending on how many spots are available, when a child was in attendance, and where their home is located now, determines their educational career and path of schools. Has it even been noted that there were homes for over a year that are in areas being called undeveloped? Waitlisted kindergartners through second grade will now be placed on a bus to go to Cambay Elementary, but they won't go to school there. They'll ride another bus from Cambay Elementary past Devon Forest to go to Westview Primary. Waitlisted third through fifth grade will now take that same plan, but they'll go to Westview Elementary. Waitlisted sixth through eighth grade will go to Westview Middle, but it doesn't stop there. The children impacted by the new zone are on a different route. The ones that didn't make it into Cambay Middle due to restrictions within Nexton will now go to Sangre Middle when the time comes. And the ones that didn't make it into Cambay Elementary, Middle, or High due to the rezone will now go to Whitesville Elementary, Berkeley Middle, and Berkeley High. What time will our children need to be at the bus stop? What time will they leave? And what time will they arrive to their school or the first before another bus takes them further away? If their route usually takes over 30 minutes to get 3 miles, what can we expect their average ride time will be for the school that much further away? If all elementary, all middle, and all high start at the same time, who is getting up earlier to accommodate this? Who will be expected to sit in an empty room until their bell actually rings? And how many excused tardies will be given this year because the bus system has failed our children? How many more buses can we expect to see on State Road? The most precious cargo, our children, will be expected to be on time to their classes. But how are we managing with the additional traffic on these one-lane roads? While we remain patient as our worlds have been turned upside down, our questions need answers. We have single parents, working parents, military parents, multiple kid parents that need to know how to plan. We need to know what to do when 2 kids are expected to be at different places at the same time, while busing is not an option. And while we are seeking solutions, we look to you to work with the transportation department. We demand safe bus transportation for our children. They deserve nothing short of a safe ride to school. But like the 2019-2020 school year, they did not receive that as problems arose. They do not need to be on the bus for so long that they have accidents. They deserve better. They do not need to be in positions where they are put on the wrong bus. They deserve better. Their parents do not need to be the ones to find them when they were claimed missing by school staff. And their parents do not need to be the ones to find them scared and alone on a bus that was claimed empty and unoccupied by a bus driver. Our children deserve better, and it is your job to make that happen. Thank you.
We'll now move on to Agenda Item 5A, action as required from executive session. We'll start with Mr. Barrow.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Sonia Addison Stewart as the new Director of Career and Technical Education with the contract to take effect on July 1, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. Ramsey to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Sonia Addison Stewart as the new Director of Career and Technical Education with a contract to take effect on July 1, 2020. Is there any discussion? Further, hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matt?
Yes, said I.
Sorry, missed it. Nay? The ayes have it. 8-0. Congratulations. Be Dr. Addison Stewart soon because she has defended her thesis, so we'll celebrate that more when the time comes. But I know you have family here because I know your family, but will you tell us your family that's here with you?
I brought my husband, Mr. Jerome Stewart, a lot of you know him as Coach Jerome Stewart, head basketball coach.
Keeping it all in the family. Will y'all photo op for Brian? Y'all photo op for Brian, please. Yeah, stand up, get together. You came in the same car, so we'll let you get together. Congratulations. We're so glad for you to be in this position. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Ms. Kelly.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make the motion to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Natasha Wright as the new Director of Human Resources with a contract to take effect on July 1st, 2020.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Kelly, a second by Ms. Littleton, to accept the recommendation of the administration to name Ms. Natasha Wright as the new Director of Human Resources with a contract to take effect on July 1, 2020. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. Congratulations. So excited for you to become the director. We are sad. I don't know. I thought I saw Julie here earlier. Is she? We will miss you terribly, but we are excited for Natasha to step into that role. Who did you bring with you?
I tell you, I love the 2-year-old because I didn't want her to. Madison, our oldest daughter, and Mariah, our middle daughter. My sister surprised me, came from Florida.
Congrats. Picture, if y'all would take a picture, if your family would take a picture, we would love a picture. Thank you. Congratulations. We'll now move to student attendance appeals. I'll now hear a motion for student number 1.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we deny the attendance appeal of student number 1.
Second.
Thank you.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. Ramsey to deny the appeal of student number 1. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. We'll now hear a motion for student number 2.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we ask the administration to handle this appeal administratively.
All right. Second, there's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Wofford to refer this situation back to administration. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. Students 3 and 4 will be heard together. We'll now hear a motion for students 3 and 4.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we deny the appeal request for our students number 3 and 4.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Littleton, a second by Mr. Wright, to deny the appeals of students number 3 and 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. We'll now hear a motion for student number 5.
Madam Chair, I make a motion we deny the appeal of student number 5.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. Wright, to deny the appeal of student number 5. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. Now hear a motion for student number 6.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that student number 6 be handled administratively.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Littleton, a second by Ms. Kelly to refer student number 6 back to administration to be handled. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. We'll now hear a motion for student number 7.
Madam Chair, make a motion we deny the appeal of student number 7.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. Ramsey to deny the appeal of student number 7. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Nay? The ayes have it, 8-0. Students 8 and 9 will be heard together. Is there a motion for students 8 and 9?
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal for student 8 and 9.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Wright, a second by Mr. Barrow to deny the appeal of students number 8 and 9. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Ayes have it.
The ayes have it.
Oh, geez.
Now we'll hear students 10 and 11.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we deny the appeals of students number 10 and 11.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Barrow, a second by Mr. Wright, to deny the appeals of students 10 and 11. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. Last, student number 12. Is there a motion for student number 12?
Madam Chair, I make the motion to approve the attendance appeal for student number 12.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Kelly, a second by Mr. Ramsey, to approve the appeal of student number 12. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Were you an aye or a nay?
I was an aye.
Aye, 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 aye. Aye. The ayes have it. 5-3. All right. We'll now move on to agenda item 6A, the second and final reading of the 2020 board meeting dates, and you do have a copy of those dates in your folder. There are two off-site meetings, October 27th at St. Stephen Elementary School, and March the 9th would be Teacher of the Year at Boulder Bluff Elementary School. We plan to continue meeting at 5:30 with the executive session as the beginning of the meeting. In July, we will have a meeting and a board workshop. And then on the 28th, we'll have a regular meeting. Any questions about the board meeting dates? I make a motion to approve the 2020-2021 meeting dates for the Berkeley County Board of Education as presented.
Second.
There's a motion by Wofford, a second by Littleton. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. I'll now pass it over to Dr. Ingram.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We do have, ironically, one weather day that we would ask forgiveness for. It seemed like Hurricane Dorian was about 3 years ago, but it was actually earlier this fall. And we had it right before the e-learning pilot, so hopefully this will be the last time we ever have to ask for a forgiveness day, because now we have the capacity to make up days online. So if it pleases the board, I'm requesting that the board, within its power, forgive September 6th as a weather makeup day for Hurricane Dorian.
I move that we forgive September 6th as an inclement weather forgiveness.
Second.
There's a motion by Wofford, a second by Wright. Is there any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll continue with my superintendent's report. In interest, I've met with Dr. Parker this morning. Of course, we've been in discussions constantly through the construction process. We understand the importance of accelerating construction of wings at Sangaree Middle and Cambay Middle as quickly as possible. And I thought I'd yield just a little bit of time for Dr. Parker to come up and share what he and I discussed this morning with some tentative dates and some expectations that people can look forward to. These are tentative dates, though. We do know weather does play into these kinds of things with construction, but we want to move forward with all due speed. Dr. Parker?
Thank you, Dr. Ingram, and to our board chair and the board members. We have finished the design phase on the additions. We have final design. We've submitted those to OSF and to the county. And we're looking at June the 18th next week for posting the bids. We've got June the 25th for site visits. And then we've got July 15th for bid opening. And July 28th, we'll bring it to the board for approval. August 3rd, we'll give a notice to proceed. And prior to this taking place, we're working on, as you know, the traffic patterns at Cambay Elementary, Cambay Middle School, and we've got to put in an additional parking space there. That's going to proceed, and you're approving that tonight. The protest period expires June the 10th. Notice to proceed is issued to the general contractor on June the 11th. Pre-construction meeting, June the 11th. Start of construction, June the 15th. And the date of substantial completion is August the 7th. That's prior to school starting back. We'll have different traffic pattern in there and additional parking space, because with the addition at Cambay Middle School, we're going to be taking the parking area there for the additional classrooms there. Any questions on that?
Dr. Parker, where will this new parking spaces be?
The additional parking spaces, we've got an area in the front of the school there, and we'll bring you the design and show you all of that. But we're going to capture all of the parking spaces that we're taking up. That's a real tight campus, as you well know, with the two schools there. But we'll capture as many of the parking spaces as we're taking up with the additional wings on that school.
Thank you.
And you will notice tonight, we're going to have some items that are going to go into committee and come right back out to the full board because we have a good bit of time pressure and trying to move these things along as quickly as we can. So thank you for working on that time frame and pushing us to move ahead with that. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Also, as part of my report, we do have a required training for CTE teachers who are participating in an alternative certification program, July 13 through 17, 2020 at the Lexington Technology Center. Unfortunately, there is not a virtual option here. And I know that I've temporarily, through the powers you've given me, frozen travel, but we don't have an option. So we're going to have to send some teachers. That's in July. That will be in Lexington County. And we also, a little bit later this fall, all of our new principals will be required to participate in the new principal induction program. And there's currently not a virtual option for that, but it's required, so we really don't have much choice. Yesterday, we did felt pretty good, actually. We started 2 face-to-face programs at summer school, content recovery programs for middle school students at College Park Middle and Berkeley Middle. Yesterday, we had about 22 students at each site. I don't know if the numbers changed today or not, but that's the latest numbers that I had from yesterday, so it's good. Yesterday, we also started summer workouts for student athletes. Mr. Jackson has been visiting those sites, and it appears that all social distancing guidelines are being followed, trying to clarify any miscommunications with types of face masks and things like that. You know, they're just face coverings. But folks are really cooperating. I think folks are glad to be getting back into some routines. To date, HR, congratulations, Dr. Whitley, in your department. You've hired 238 new employees so far. Presently, we have less than 70 licensed positions to fill. And from my understanding, we are in better shape right now than we were this time last year. So kudos there. And in your packet, you will see a sign-up sheet if your schedule permits to attend any of the graduations. I won't be able to attend every one because they're directly opposite each other, but mine are marked there. But we need that tonight if possible, if you would give that to Lacey before you leave, if you're able to come, so that our principals can plan and accommodate your presence on stage. We do wear regalia, so if anybody has problems with regalia, we'll see if we can't help you out. There's usually more than enough gowns around for that. Most of them are 9 a.m. We hope that we can kind of avoid thunderstorms that day. We did have to move due to a lightning strike of the lighting system at Berkeley High School, we are moving the Berkeley Middle College graduation will be at 7 p.m. at the Cambay High Auditorium, and at 4 that afternoon, the adult ed graduation will also be at the Cambay Auditorium. But other than those two times, everything begins at 9 a.m. So hopefully, we'll pray for no rain, and we do have social distancing for our graduates. We are allowing 4 tickets per senior, and our safety and security folks have been marking spots in the stands. We'll let families sit together, but we'll have spots to designate. And we've had something like 80 plus volunteers from Central Services, 89 to help with the various schools, to help with crowds, to encourage social distancing and those kinds of things. So we appreciate everybody's cooperation in helping our seniors have a great graduation despite the circumstances. I would like to mention Thursday night at 6 p.m. we have a community meeting at J.K. Gordine. We're going to be sharing some information about that school and St. Stephen's Elementary School with community members, and also form a task force from that group to study future plans, educational plans for the students at JK and at St. Stephen. And we want to do this with all deliberate speed, but with plenty of community input. So we'll be.
Was that Dr. Ingram missed it?
This Thursday night, June 11, 6 p.m. at JK. It'll be more of an organizational meeting than anything. So, Madam Chair, that concludes.
You want to come right in there, or you refer? Okay.
Madam Chair, that concludes my report for the evening.
Thank you, Dr. Ingram. The dates that I have are the dates that Dr. Ingram was just talking about. Normally, we're pretty flexible on graduation, and we say come if you can, but it's going to take a lot more planning this year. So please commit and tell us which times, and so they can commit. But they're going to have to do a good bit of work to account for all us being social distanced. So we don't want to freak people out the morning of trying to run around and get that straight. So look through what you can attend and let Dr. Ingram know so that we can be there. All right, we are moving on now to also please complete your Head Start training, sign the paperwork, get it to Lacey. It's a video. If you haven't gotten the information, we can get you the information. All right, we are moving on now to agenda item 8, committee assignments, temporary committee assignments. If quorum isn't present, we do have quorum for we do have quorum for all committees, so now I'll entertain a motion to recess for committee meetings.
So moved.
All right, I got a motion from Ms. Littleton,
Second.
a second from Mr. Ramsey. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. We are now in recess. And the first committee meeting is Academics and Innovation. Ms. Littleton.
I'm calling the Committee on Academics and Innovation to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is the Head Start Budget Expenditures Report for April 2020, Head Start Credit Report for April 2020, Head Start Calendars, and prospective new hires. I make a motion that we approve the Head Start Budget Expenditure Report for 2020, April 2020, Head Start Credit Report for April 2020, Head Start Calendars, and prospective new hires.
Second.
Passes with 2-0. Second agenda is a 2020-2021 local board approved for innovative courses, Dr. Kelly Wolf, you are recognized.
Chair Littleton, Dr. Ingram, members of the committee, I respectfully bring back to you for consideration second reading of the 2021 local board approved and innovative courses as provided.
I make a motion to approve the first reading of the 2020-2021 local board approved and innovative courses as provided.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Wolf,
Approved.
was that the first reading, or that's not
The
the right
second
motion?
reading.
That's not, I'm sorry. I
There's a
just-
second motion.
It's the
Second reading.
second. So just so long, we've heard it once, so it's the second reading of the 2020-2021.
So I amend my motion to motion to approve the second reading of the 2020-2021 local board approved and innovative courses as provided.
Second.
Passed 2-0. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the committee meeting so that the Finance and Human Resource Committee meeting can begin.
So moved.
Second.
I am calling the Committee on Finance and Human Resources to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present, and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Our first agenda item is the first reading revision, deposit of funds and cash in schools. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized.
You want 146. Okay, you want to ask?
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Ingram, and board members. We are asking for first reading approval to revise Policy DG, Deposit of Funds and Cash in Schools. This policy is being amended due to the change in one of our banking institutions no longer allowing the use of night drop bags. This is an effort to ensure funds are stored in a safe and proper manner in our schools. Are there any questions?
I move to approve the first reading revision regarding deposit of funds and cash in schools as presented.
Second. We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Whitley. Our second agenda item is 2021 salary book. Dr. Whitley, you are recognized again.
Thank you. We are asking for approval of Berkeley County School District 2021 salary book. The salary book has been updated to include the 2021 payroll schedules, instructional calendar, and workday calendars. There are also some additional positions added to existing programs, and there's an updated pay classification for the MUNIS system. Are there any questions?
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the 2020-2021 salary book as presented by administration.
Second. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Dr. Whitley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our third agenda item is second reading of the 2021 general fund budget. Ashley Smith, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Dr. Ingram, and board members. This is the second reading of the general fund budget. As you know, because these are projections, the budget is a moving target, and the information received is over a course of time. There are a few changes from the first reading that I will address as we go through the presentation. The assumptions for the 2020-2021 budget, we are still assuming that it will take 15 months to return to pre-virus levels. Revenue growth for the first 6 months is expected to be 0. However, we now anticipate a 5% growth in local tax revenue. No anticipated reduction in EIA funds, and we will maintain the same millage rate of 151.8. There are only 2 changes on this slide from the first reading. The first is the change to local tax revenue from a 2.3% increase to a 5% increase. In addition, the EFA funding is projected at $89.7 million. This is not new money. This is based on the current year allocation. The $86 million reported on the first reading was the initial projection from the state, and due to the growth in our district, we are estimated to receive $89.7 million through June 30th, 2020. Since this projection is flat, we are budgeting the $89.7 million for the 2020-2021 school year. This brings our total estimated revenue to $314.7 million. Our projected expenditures also have a few changes from the first reading. Estimated salaries, including benefits, is now $247.7 million. The change here is due to timing of personnel action forms, including hiring of new employees, terminations, and transfers since our previous meeting. Substitutes, overtime, stipends are still estimated at $7.2 million. Workers' compensation program is at $2.5 million. We have made a few more department cuts to bring the total to $40.9 million. The school budgets remain at $11.4 million. At our last meeting, we brought 5.5 new allocations for your approval for teachers. However, we are recommending 25 new allocations for growth, and that totals $1.8 million. The vacancy number has also changed a bit. In the last budget, due to lack of sufficient resources, we were unable to fund all of the vacancies. The 2.9 is to fund vacancies not covered currently by Kelly Services for unfilled positions. As we discussed at our last meeting, the teacher allocation formulas will remain the same as the previous year and will not result in larger class sizes. So how are we preparing for 2020-2021? This budget was developed using equitable formula-based allocations. District administrators have reduced their budgets, and travel has been frozen. I know there was concern about teacher step or salary increase for next year. At the last meeting, we discussed amending the budget to include an increase if we received additional funding. The majority of our tax revenue is received in January and February, so that if we are receiving additional tax revenue or if we receive any additional state funding at any point, we could certainly bring the budget back for an amendment. We will also bring the CARES Act portion of the budget back for approval once the funds are secured. I was just notified this morning that the application is now on the state website, so we will begin working on that plan to bring it back to the board for approval.
Ms. Smith, are we waiting for this? I may be asking you a question you don't know the answer to. So the governor continues to call states of emergency repeatedly. I think we're about in our fifth-ish, sixth state of emergency. So is that why that there is not a new state budget?
I think they're still in discussion, and it could be because of the fifth, sixth-ish stage that we're in. That does make perfect sense that they haven't passed a new budget. So I don't have any additional information.
They need
on
to go
it.
back to Columbia and do their job and pass a budget.
It would make our lives a lot easier.
I'm very frustrated that the governor has not allowed the state legislator to return to Columbia and do their job as local governments have continued to do their job. We're sitting up here doing our job, and we don't have an answer because they haven't done the work that needs to be done in Columbia. So
It has made things very difficult.
It's election day, so we'll bring that up. Thank you. I knew we had already discussed this, but I wanted to say that for the public, that we don't like the idea that we're just sitting here waiting for the state to pass a new budget until we can decide what's going to happen with teacher pay or what the resolution is going to look like. It's very frustrating to us to not have local authority of everything relating to our school district. But
let me ask a question, Ms. Smith. So the additional revenue was a cause for us to be able to add the additional FTE for the allocations?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
And So in reference to your comment, Madam Chair, you're exactly right. We're in a holding pattern. It's not by our own will or design, but this is nothing new. The state legislature waits till the last week in June almost every year to accommodate us and allow us to know how much they have deemed necessary for us to work with for the next year. And it's something that is inherently a problem. They need to get busy and do it early on in the spring so that we don't have these issues of how many teachers we can hire and whether or not we can allow for a raise for our teachers or buy school buses. All of these things are inherent upon the legislature to do their job so that we in turn can do ours and represent our people the way that they've elected us to do.
I agree. We'll have public hearings, so our public hearing will be upcoming, so the next part of the process, we'll reference it here, it'll be put out in the newspaper so that we can hear the public, and then the final reading, and that normally lines up to the last week of June, so we have the answer for them, hopefully in time, so. Thank you. It's not a precise, it's never precise. It's always frustrating. I think this year has just added additional frustration.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the second reading of the 2020-2021 general fund budget as presented by Ms. Smith.
Second. We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it. It is approved. Our fourth agenda item is 2020-2021 Capital Project Fund discussion. Ashley Smith, you are recognized again.
Thank you. Although we will not be voting on the capital plan this evening, we are bringing this plan to you since the resolution is on the agenda for approval and to make any necessary changes that the board may request. This first slide was provided by our financial advisors. Our new projection indicates a conservative 3% growth. At our last meeting, we were projecting a 1% growth. The school district will maintain 70 mills for debt service. Our estimated new funds to be received for capital projects is now $35.66 million, and the chart at the bottom shows our estimated revenue over the next 5 years. All of the projects for 2020-2021 are listed on the next few slides. I'll be glad to answer any questions about specific projects, and Dr. Parker and James Thomas are also here to help answer any questions. We have our district-wide projects, our school-based projects, and the additional district-wide projects are listed here. I do want to point out that I did attach the backup from Munis and Kronos amounts to the board, 2 board docs per request. This budget also includes community support, demolition projects, Year 2 of the Cambay Middle and Sangaree Middle Schools additions, and the prototype model for a K-8 school design that is on the agenda later this evening for your approval. The projection for the new school for Year 1 is $12 million. The funding for this project will be divided over 3 years. In Year 2, we will request $16 million. Year 3, we will request $17 million. The total project is estimated at $45 million. The overview of the capital plan is estimated new money is $35.6 plus our under budget items to be reallocated in the amount of $562,000. And I will show you a spreadsheet shortly to explain that. All the projects presented this evening also total $36.2 million. Do you have any additional questions?
Last meeting, I think we talked about a $31 million.
We did, and that was at the 1% increase.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And a $48 million capital project total.
Yes.
So obviously, some of these projects have been stricken or
Yes, sir.
or removed temporarily
Yes, sir. Hopefully temporarily.
due to the funding.
Deferred. That is correct.
So funding is an issue
Yes, it is.
for the capital projects that we deem necessary for growth. Okay.
Yes.
Is it appropriate for me to make some comments at this time? Because inherent upon the responsibility of a school board is to make sure that we have a plan in place that meets the needs of the community in terms of growth. And Dr. Parker and his team has done an admirable job. However, the job is incomplete because of funding. We have a plan in place, a 5-year plan, but I think, Dr. Parker, you'll probably concede that the 5-year plan is probably now in year 3. So we're in the middle of a 5-year plan, and we have some design, and we have some contractors evidently that's going to be working on the additions to Cambay and Sangaree, and we've got the architectural design for the K-8 school. And all of this is admirable, all this is necessary, but it's not enough. I'd like to see this 5-year plan expanded to include the possibility of additional attendance projections and also additional sites for renovation and possible new building within the next 5 to 8 years, with a timeline for that would be conducive to the attendance projections, and all of that information would be very essential for that to be happening. And I'd also like to actually be able to know how much each of these facilities would cost, so that the board could come up with some options for our taxpayers, and at their discretion determine how these funds are going to be generated. Now, it's no secret that the 8% borrowing capacity is good. Well, our health of our economy is strong in our district, but it will take 3 years of 8% money to build the K-8 school at Carnes Crossroads, along with some other projects. And that's all good, but it's not enough. We need to make sure that we have the elementary, middle, and I would say within 5 to 6 years, a new high school. Not necessarily in any particular area, because if you look at the attendance, you will see that there's overcrowding at Stratford. Now, Stratford had room, but we did the rezoning last year, and some of the Sangaree kids are going to Stratford. Cambay is also growing. Berkeley is either at max or is above max. So these schools in the next 3 to 5 years are definitely going to outgrow their maximum capacity. Maybe they don't have the maximum capacity in terms of allowing every classroom space to be used every period. Now, in saying that, teachers that have a planning period don't have a room. They have to float, they have to go to different places, and that's okay for a while. But it's not something that's conducive. It's not something that we need to expect. So I'd like to see a growth plan with the numbers and also define the types of schools we need and where, how much, and a timeline. Now, the 8% money is great, but it's limited. There's also the fact that there's a possibility from time to time a 1% sales tax, but I've been informed recently that the 1% sales tax that we've talked about with the hope that it might get on the ballot for this November is not going to happen. And even if it had, it would be another year for that to actually come into fruition. So the money deficit is real. The plans are there, but we need to offer our citizens another avenue, another option to fund the schools that we absolutely have to have. And the B word, the bond word, the bond resolution or the bond on the ballot is something that may have to take place soon. And I would like to see a study done to determine exactly what I've talked about, the needs, why we need this, and not just, I'm not talking about Cambay. I'm talking, we just put a $10 million project from Goose Creek High School on the shelf because of the lack of funding. We've got other major considerations in all parts of the county that I think need to be addressed. And it's incumbent upon me as a board member, and I know you feel the same thing, that our citizens want answers to why we can't build schools and adequately house our children. And I think we need to give them an option as to how it can be done. And if they say no, we've at least done our due diligence, we've done our job, we've researched things, we've provided information to them, and they can say yes or no. But I will say this, last thing I'm going to say. Time is of the essence. November 3 is 5 months away. Can we get this study done? Can we mobilize our efforts to have community input in meetings throughout the county to see if this bond referendum possibility is viable and whether or not it may generate some support? Dr. Parker.
Yes, Mr. Barrett, we're going to bring to the board an updated 5-year plan that will give you what you're talking about. What we're focusing on right now is what we can afford to do.
Right.
But you're exactly right. We've got certain needs in this county that are going to require funding. It's unfortunate that we had the pandemic that interfered with our hospitality tax and created the problem for us as far as the 1 cent sales tax. But, you know, these are things that we're having to deal with. But what we're going to be bringing you, and we've got in the upcoming budget, we're focusing right now on design for the K-8 school and the middle school design prototype model. And we've got money in the budget for an elementary prototype model. So we will be shovel ready once we have the funding to move forward. Now, some of our projects are going to have to be delayed based on the funding we have available.
That's right.
And that's unfortunate, especially in a situation we're in with the district growing as fast as it is. Side note there, what we're hearing from the realtors in the area is that the months that we were suffering from the pandemic, that sales were pretty high.
Record level.
And, I'm sorry.
It was Michael. I'll say that was Michael. Record.
Oh, Michael, yes.
Record high. Yeah, record high
Record
sales.
levels. And a lot of people are moving into the area. So the needs are there. The superintendent and the construction committee have been working together in revising our direction and looking at what we can do. And we have really accelerated the time span in getting these wings built at Cambay Middle School and at Sangaree Middle School. We're also accelerating and the board chair has asked us to accelerate our work on design for the K-8 model, and we're trying to condense that time span for the design on the K-8 model. But at the same time, what we're getting with our architect there, once it's approved, is a design on a K-8 model, 1,200 student K-8 model, and he's also designing a small middle school for 800 students and a large middle school for 1,200 students. So we're getting 3 designs through this architect. But we're moving as quickly as we can, and I understand the urgency. I understand what you're saying. Don't disagree with a word as far as your comments. I think we've got to look at the options that are available and take the best options that are there for us.
So, Dr. Parker, if I'm correct, I know the 1% sales tax can only be on a major election year. It's the same for a bond referendum as well?
No.
Can a bond referendum go in an uneven year?
I think the bond referendum would have to go on an even year.
I think it has to be even.
Yes.
I know the 1% has to be on an even year. It has to be a major election year.
So this is an even year.
This is an even year, or
That's-
it would be 2022.
That's right.
We're talking about, Dr. Parker, and I know I'm beating the dead horse. You haven't mentioned it except in, long-term as a high school, and I know it would take about $80 million or thereabouts to build a high school, notwithstanding the property. And our constituents need to know that the budget that we have and that we passed is an operational budget that is year to year and does not include brick and mortar. It does not include renovation. It does not include new construction. And school districts are at the mercy of the taxpayer as to whether or not they will actually put up the money and do the right thing. Now, I'm retired, but I will gladly support a bond referendum that will ensure that our children don't have to go to school in overcrowded situations and circumstances, particularly with this COVID-19. I don't know exactly how we're going to have all of these kids at Stratford with 2,200 kids come the same day and social distance them 6 feet apart in the classrooms. It's just not going to happen. So I'm very concerned. I've spoken on this many times, and I'd like to see a timeline that we could actually, as a school district, as an administration, Dr. Parker and your team, to actually come up with something that could be of use and to determine whether or not this could actually be feasible for the November ballot.
And if we, as part of this discussion, I would want to, if we do take a look at some form of bond referendum, I would also want to discuss the 1% accommodation sales tax as we talked. Just because with me at 22 years working at the tax assessor's office and being directly aware of exactly what's going on with the taxation in Berkeley County over now the last 23, 24 years, I have a keen understanding of the significance of bond referendums and the additional burden that it puts on the homeowners. We all understand what the state's done with us to taking the proposition, what is it?
Act 388.
Yeah, I forget the proposition number now. And we have issues that we have to solve, but it's kind of like my wife who recently got laid off. She was really wanting a new pool. And I was like, well, I could dig from this fund or dig from that fund. And so we prayed about it, and we found a little 3-foot pool on the side of the road for free. And I'm not saying we're going to find a school for free, but what I'm saying is drastic times do require drastic measures, and we cannot be tone deaf to that. We are going through a historic time where we're already considered being in a recession. The uncertainty of jobs losses, of how things are going to be the next year or two, is a very big uncertainty. And for what I now do as a living, I see a lot of statistics on that. So I would still want to make sure that we still continue that 1% sales tax, because with that plan, we could get the money we need, and we would lower property taxes on the 4%, the commercial property, the fee in lieu, the industry, and we could pay it, and we could get that money for a defined time. It's just, again, a lot of folks in this county are very scared of a bond referendum. So however we tread along that line, we need to be aware of that and not be tone deaf to how many people would be opposed to it. But, again, I agree with Mr. Barrow. We have to look at all options for sure.
If I may just add a point, and Brett's in the audience, and if I misspeak, Brett, I'd like for you to correct me. I'm the only one in this room who cannot promote one item, one method over another. My job is to present options. And even when I interviewed, I think I talked about a potential sales tax, just as an option. I've worked in other districts where that's worked really well. And I want the public to understand we really caught a bad break with the pandemic, because I think we were on target. We would have been really close of meeting the threshold, which I believe, Brett, is $1 million
That's right.
in accommodations tax. Is that correct? And by June 30, was that it? On the state side, and we were real close, and we probably would have made it, and then boom, COVID comes, just stops the accommodations tax dead in the water, and it just made that option impossible. Yeah, I even explored, or is it possible to get an exception to the legislation given the times, and was advised that that's really not there. But again, I'm not promoting one thing over another. But we caught a bad break there. We really did, and I agree with everything that's been said. But I don't want the public to think that we've just been sitting around hoping that pennies would fall out of the sky. That's not true at all. We've been looking at different options, and but I applaud the board for putting it out there, because we're at that point. You got to talk about it.
And that's the whole point where you see Dr. Parker standing up there right now. Some people had questions. Well, hey, why do we have Dr. Parker as a consultant? We got Dr. Eddie Ingram here. Well, that's true. We recognized when this board came on here from day one this growth, because the question keeps coming, why haven't we done anything? Why haven't we done anything? We have been doing something. We've hired a company that has done that growth survey, that's given us the data that shows that, yes, it's going to grow like we think it's going to grow. We do have a book. We do have our maintenance folks that have a plan. We have a 5, 7, 8-year plan. But it's, again, just reiterating what everyone said, it's not a matter of lack of planning. It's a matter of timing with where we find ourselves.
And we recommended to you when we presented the 5-year plan and facility study that one of the best options, impact fees, and also looking at the sales tax in paying for schools and moving forward. Now, we have made some inroads on impact fees. We're very pleased with that. And I think, Brett, that we can announce to you that we're starting to collect impact fees in July 1st. And that's a step in the right direction. But it doesn't give us the money that we're going to need for the bricks and mortar. Now, we're going to bring you a revised 5-year plan. But as you recall, the 5-year plan is over 2 years old. And your assessment of the high schools, yes, we're going to need, I said 10 years. We wouldn't need a high school until 10 years. That's 8 years from now. And it may be sooner depending on the growth. I just got Mike Miller's forecast information, and the numbers are pretty significant if you look at the forecast for the next 10 years. And we've got our hands full in trying to meet the needs of the people coming into the district and serve their kids as best we can. All of you want to do that. And what we're going to be doing is planning to where we can move forward, and we'll have everything in place to be shovel ready once the funding is there. And that's our obligation to you and certainly to the county.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Parker. Okay. I think that one was for information only, have no vote.
And before we wrap this up, I did want to ask you if you have any questions. There was an attachment to board docs that included completed projects and also facilities in progress and district-wide in progress. And I just wanted to make sure you didn't have any questions about any specific projects. Okay. Very good.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Our fifth agenda item is bond resolution. Ashley Smith, you're recognized again.
Thank you. Administration is requesting a motion to approve the issuance and sale of the General Obligation Bond Series 20A and Taxable Series 2020B not to exceed $60 million for the purposes of paying current existing debt payments as listed on the resolution, funding capital projects, cost of issuance of bonds, and other lawful purposes as the board may determine. Jeremy Cook from Hainsworth Sinclair Boyd is also here if you have any questions.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the issuance and sale of General Obligation Bond Series 2020A and Taxable Series 2020B for an amount not to exceed $60 million.
Second. We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it. It is approved. Our sixth agenda item is IFB 555-19-20, Cambay parking lot. Ashley Smith, you are recognized again, and it looks like with Marcy.
Yes, Marcy is going to be presenting the next 5 items on the agenda.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Dr. Ingram, members of the board. We have several procurement items to bring to you tonight, and the first one is IFB 555-1920, which is the parking lot addition at Cambay. This project is the first phase of construction for the new wing at this school, and the project has an 8-week duration, barring any inclement weather or disruptions, and is due to substantially be completed within 8 weeks by August 7th. We ask that you approve the award to Stenstrom and Associates for the base bid amount of $311,241 with an alternate of alternate one of $750 for a contract total of $311,991.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the award of IFB 555-1920 for the construction of Cambay School's parking lot addition to Stenstrom and Associates, Inc. for the base bid and alternate one for the total amount of $311,911.
Second, we will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it. Our seventh agenda item is RFP 556-19-20, on-call mold and disaster remediation services. Marcy, you're recognized.
Thank you. RFP 556-1920 for on-call mold remediation and disaster remediation services is a request for a 5-year term contract to address these situations as they arise. We had a couple that we had to do last year as an emergency, and we felt that to be proactive, we wanted to get a contract in place so that these could be addressed quickly on an as-needed basis. We're requesting award to Steri Clean of South Carolina for an estimated 1-year total of $120,000 with a maximum contract value of $600,000.
I move to approve the award of RFP 556-1920 for on-call mold and disaster remediation services to Steri Clean South Carolina LLC for an initial term of 1 year with the option to renew for 4 additional 1-year terms with a 5-year contract value of $600,000.
Second, we now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it. Our eighth agenda item is RFQ 559-19-20, A&E services for the prototype K-8 school design. Marcy, you're recognized.
Thank you. RFQ, which is a request for qualifications, 559-1920, is for A&E services to design a prototype K-12 school. And as Dr. Parker alluded to earlier, it also included some additional designs for a small and a large middle school. The award is to FW Architects in the amount of $1 million for those designs. And Dr. Parker and Brett Galloway are both here to answer any questions that you might have about the designs or the contract.
I was just going to add a quick comment. I would like to thank Dr. Parker for that negotiation. because it is my understanding that it was a good negotiation on the school district side as far as the value that we got. Sometimes folks will look at some of the costs that we incur and wonder, well, why did we spend $1 million? Well, in this case, it was a very good negotiation, and Dr. Parker got us a good deal. So thank you, sir.
I think in essence, didn't we get 3 designs for the price of one? Just about.
Yeah, I've never seen it done in that manner, so that's why I wanted to give kudos.
Right.
I have a question, though, because it says for $1 million, but it does say the district will begin negotiation for a contract for services with them immediately. So that the $1 million is available, but not necessarily awarded?
No, it is awarded. The award notice, when it's posted for an architect, we can't negotiate price until we've awarded the contract. So that notice of award went out, and then the negotiations progressed after that. And then
I see.
And then we negotiate the dollar amount to award it for the board to approve.
They wanted us to pay them a lot more.
Yeah.
So this is for all 3 schools?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's a schematic design for the K-8, and
It takes the K-8 school to schematic design, and it takes the middle schools up to schematic design. The middle school is a single story, the 2 middle schools, the large is 1,200 students, the small is 800 students. And what we're doing with the K-8 is a 2-story school. Our elementary students will be on the ground floor. Our middle school students will be on the 2nd floor in the 2-story design.
Thank you.
I move to approve RFQ 559-1920, A&E Services for a prototype K-8 school design for a prototype that's double printed, A&E Services for a K-8 proto school design to FW Architects, Inc. for a total cost of $1 million.
Second, we would now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it. Our 9th agenda item is Bbb 562-19-20, IDC for concrete contractors. Marcy, you're recognized again.
yes, sir, this again is another, this is an indefinite delivery contract for construction with a maximum 2-year period or a cap of $750,000. The seed project was the driveway and other patio sidewalk areas for the new MenRiv warehouse for technology. We use that as the seed project, which would be awarded to KTC Enterprises for $59,011. But we also, because we have so many concrete projects throughout the year, we are also asking to do an award to Bullock General Contracting for additional as-needed projects. The maximum project value will be $150,000, and the contract is capped at $750,000 between both contractors, or a maximum of 2 years.
What is the pleasure of the committee?
I move to approve the award of Bbb 562-1920 for concrete contractors to KTC Enterprises, Inc. and Bullock General Contracting, with KTC Enterprises, Inc. receiving the representation project for the technology warehouse driveway and loading dock valued at $59,011. The contract shall be valid for 2 years or until the maximum value of $750,000 is reached.
Second, we will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it. Our 10th and final agenda item is Bbb 564-19-20, Mobile Classroom Relocation Services. Marcy, you are recognized.
Yes, sir. Bbb 564-1920 is for mobile classroom relocation services, and this is to replace an existing term contract that expires on June 30th. And as you know, again, on mobile classrooms, we move on an as-needed basis from year to year, and depending on student growth, we never know what that is, so we always like to have a proactive contract in place. We had 3 companies respond. They were evaluated on price and other criteria. with S&P Housing Company being the highest awarded bidder as far as price and the other evaluation criteria. So we're asking for award to them and the estimated one-year value of $31,215 with a five-year contract value of $156,075.
I move to approve Bbb 564-1920 Mobile Classroom Relocation Services to S&P House Moving Company, Inc. for an initial term of 1 year with the option to renew for 4 additional one-year terms with a 5-year contract value of $156,075.
Second. We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Marcy. Thank you, Ashley. At this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn so the Facilities and Capital Planning Committee meeting can begin.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are now adjourned.
Calling the Committee on Facilities and Capital Planning to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item is the donation of land adjacent to Cambay High School for Highway 176 widening. Dr. Ingram, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. McQuillan. And I would like to give the floor to Brett Galloway, our attorney who handles real estate, to give a brief explanation and answer any questions that you may have about this matter.
Thank you, Dr. Ingram, and ladies and gentlemen of the board. This involves a small strip of land along 176 that impacts Cambay High School. In the aggregate, the land adds up, but it's such a thin strip, it doesn't have any effect on our use of the land or any real utility to us, with the one exception being there's a sign that will have to be moved or replaced. The county's undertaken to replace or move that sign at their expense, and we have offered to donate the land to the county rather than collect a nominal fee, so that we can in turn cooperate with them on various projects in which they have the opportunity to save money without costing them money. For instance, the collection method for the school improvement fees, the county's agreed to collect that at the time that they collect a sewer tap. We didn't have a method to collect that fee, and they're not charging us to do so. So we feel like it's in our best interest to donate that land to the county.
And we did talk about that this morning. It's a real good trade-off, cooperative effort. I commend the county, Supervisor Cribb and his staff, and county councilman, and I commend the school board for such a cooperative agreement. I've been in places where that is not the case, and so I don't want to. I'm not trying to take up more time. I just want the public to understand just how rare that really is to get the county governments and the school boards to really work together. You're to be commended for that.
Brett, we feel like there's value also for the school for traffic, for the widening.
Absolutely. Traffic impacts everyone. The widening has a positive impact on the school. And there are just so many opportunities where the county has the opportunity to facilitate something we're trying to accomplish, that we felt like, since this didn't have a monetary or utility impact on us,
It's an easy one. It's an easy win, and it improves life in Cambay community. Good.
Thank you for asking that, Chairman. That was a question I had, was concerned about traffic, so thank you.
Do we have a motion?
We do. I'd like to make the motion to approve donating the land to the county for the road widening project. The road widening benefits the district and the county, is assisting, coordinating various projects with the district to reduce costs to the district.
Second.
I'll yield to Frank. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
No, we got ours at the church.
The motion passes. The second agenda item is the revised 2020-2021 bell schedule. Mr. Jackson, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman McQuillan, Dr. Ingram, members of the board. On the March 10th, 2020 meeting, the board received a presentation from our transportation consultants on April 28th. You approved the recommendation for option 1, which included a sample bell schedule. As we were finalizing the bell schedules and transportation, we received information from a couple of the schools, some feedback that indicated that we'd be better served to make some adjustments, and those schools are Daniel Allen School, Philip Simmons Elementary, and Philip Simmons Middle. We're requesting to operate those schools from 7:45 to 2:45. It's about a change of about 20 to 25 minutes of each of those schools. And in addition, Howell Hall Ames was unintentionally left off of the list because we do not provide transportation to that school. And so we needed to add Howell Hall Ames to the list, and their bell schedule wouldn't change from the 1920 school year. And so at this time, we're just requesting that the board approve the revised bell schedules for the 2021 school year.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the revised 2020-2021 bell schedule as presented.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this committee meeting.
So move.
Second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We are now adjourned.
I'll now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
I made the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Ms. Littleton, to return to regular session. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We are in regular session. So all of the committee items are not being brought forward. Our typical process is to have 2 weeks of feedback. So there's a committee meeting and a full board meeting. Because of the crazy that's happened to us this spring and we got behind, we do have a couple of items that will come forward tonight straight out of committee that we just heard in committees, but it will not be every action item. Some action items that we heard in committee will not come before the board until next meeting. So now I recognize the chair of the Finance and Human Resources Committee, Mr. Michael Ramsey.
Madam Chairwoman, the Committee on Finance and Human Resources met earlier this evening. On recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the award of IFB 555-19-20 for the construction of Cambay School's parking addition to Stenstrom and Associates, Inc. for the base bid and alternate one for a total amount of $311,911.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. I don't know how to mute it. Maybe. But where's Marty
Ms.
when you
Bradley,
need him?
can you please mute your phone?
I put *5 in, but it wouldn't mute. Okay. All right, so we're going to call that question again because I didn't hear it. So we have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. We're going to call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve RFQ 559-19-20 A&E services for prototype K-8 school design for a prototype K-8 school to RF Architects, Inc. for a total cost of $1 million.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the award of Bbb-Be 562-19-20 for concrete contractors to KTC Enterprise, Inc. and Bullock General Contracting with KTC Enterprises, Inc., receiving the representative project for the Technology Warehouse Drive and Loading Dock valued at $59,011. The contract shall be valid for 2 years or until the maximum value of $750,000 is reached.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0.
Also in recommendation of the committee, I move to approve Bbb-Be 564-19-20, Mobile Classroom Relocation Services to S&P House Moving Company, Inc., for an initial term of 1 year with the option to renew for 4 additional 1-year terms with a 5-year contract value of $156,075.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0.
Madam Chairwoman, that concludes my report.
Madam Chairwoman, the Committee on Facilities and Capital Planning met earlier this evening. On recommendation of the committee, I recommend to approve the donation of land adjacent to the Cambay High School for Highway 176 widening.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Ms. Littleton to adjourn. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. We are adjourned.